Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you with X Factor number 65. And this is an arc that I've been wanting to get into for a long time. This is part one of Endgame, and there's a lot of really little treasure nuggets in this book. So, this is the first appearance of the Dark Riders. It's kind of the big thing there. The print date on this was April 1991. And the art team on this, it's a powerhouse. We'll get into that in a second, but you can just see how dynamic right off the bat the paneling is. The shadows, the colors, just you don't get this quality in comics anymore. Yes, there are some that are good, but just like the days before digital art, I miss this when it was pens, paint, inks, instead of most of it being digital nowadays. So real quick before I get into everything about Endgame Part 1, this is Jim Lee and Willis Portacio doing the plot, Chris Claremont's script, Willis Portacio doing the penciling, Art Thibert inks, Michael Hessler letter, Steve Buccoletto colorist, Bob Harris was the editor, and Tom DeFalco was the editor-in-chief. So right there, big guns on this book, and the quality of it just shows. Now, at this point, the X-Men are still, or the X-Men, the X-Factor is still living in what's called SHIP, which was Apocalypse's old ship. They saved it because it was an artificial being, I think, that had to do Apocalypse's bidding. X-Factor saved it, and that kind of became their base. So here you get a moment of seeing the team practice together, and Cyclops is being really hard on them, and we'll get into that in a moment as to why that's important. And then what's interesting is you start to see a different type of text bubble. And it says, indeed, mutant, let's do precisely that. By nature, training and experience, Cyclops is X-Factor's leader. And you're thinking, wait a minute, what's going on here? And this is where you start to get your first appearances of what is called the Dark Riders. And what happens is one of Apocalypse's minions is able to tap in to SHIP, and they're assessing their prey. So they start saying, well, how would we take this character down? How would we take Warren down? How would we take Beast down? How can we work Cyclops and Jean? And a lot of them are overconfident. And it's one of them says, confidence is a virtue, Synapse. Overconfidence, quite something else. And it's true. And, oh, just the artwork. Whew, look at this. I remember seeing the action figures for Apocalypse and the Dark Riders way back when it was through Toy Biz, all the little, I guess the little 6 inches, or 6 inch were they? Or 5? I don't remember how big those suckers were, but those things were like key to my childhood. But in conjunction to being sore at Archangel and just hating the X-Men, Apocalypse is more torn that they have his ship, and he goes, however, they are not our target, but instead the ship they call both home and friend, who must be taught once and for all the terrible fate of those who dare betray Apocalypse. So there you got your stakes, and you see what's going to be happening here shortly. Now, when I was talking about Cyclops being hard on the team, Cyclops says, really impressive people, utterly outstanding. And Bobby says something to the degree of, this was an exercise, pal, which means, Iceman, we don't have to take things seriously. You made your point, Robert. Relax. The heck I will. This isn't the Army, Psych, and we're not raw recruits. We know what to do. Sloppy and smart aleck we may seem in training. But when the chips are down, we come through. We always have. Because Bobby always has a habit to quip like Deadpool and Spidey. And I like Cyclops always bearing the weight of the leader. Maybe we've been lucky, or maybe others have paid the price. Yes, we're good, Bobby, but if we'd been better, maybe some of the deaths we've seen could have been avoided. So again, like a leader, most of the time they end up being alone, people not really liking them, but respecting them, but that's just the weight of leadership. And I like how we just get this sort of distant paneling of all of the X-Men, or the X-Factor here, and Cyclops walking off on his own. It just shows the heaviness of it. Now, after training, it's kind of like, I guess you'd call it shore leave, but X-Factor Archangel goes to see the woman that he's doing a relationship with. And then I miss Opal. She was Bobby's flame. And you could see that he did everything he could to impress her. I guess she was Japanese. And he goes, "Konnichiwa, a beauteous rapture of my most unworthy heart." And then she turns around and she goes, "What's the matter with you, white boy? Talking like that, you just got off the boat or something. Give me a break, Opal. I've been practicing all week." And since when, do I ask, did you start talking Brooklyn? Everyone should learn a foreign language, Bobby. It broadens the mind. I'm from Long Island, sweetheart. English is hard enough all by itself. And so he goes to take her on a date. And she always had a good way of bringing out the best in Bobby. That's what I miss about Opal. She goes, "Are you free for lunch or what?" "After so charming an invitation, how could I refuse?" And then he says, "See you in an hour, unless we're attacked by aliens." And she gets kidnapped to the far side of the cosmos. She goes, "You're kidding, right?" "Actually, that seems to happen to us X-folks a lot." "You're not kidding." "Don't be scared, Opal. I'd be there to rescue you anytime, anywhere, no matter what." I know. And I'm glad. See, I miss Opal. She always knew how to build Bobby up, just as people in a relationship should, is build one another up. And these two were perfect for each other. And so I hate that as we went down the road, they started to make their other writers started to make their relationship more rocky. That really chapped my ass. So while everyone's having a moment to reminisce, Hank pining over Trish, Tilby, Jean and Cyclops having a moment, then the attack starts. And again, Cyclops being the leader. "We got your memo, Hank. You bother too fearless, leader?" "Nothing I can quite put my finger on, but yes, I am. Certainly no empiric rational systems, still check clean. And ship has no explanation." "What the devil? Not again!" And then, boom, we jump in to the action. So what I like about this is, even though this was, I think, a 4-part arc in this book, we get a quiet moment with each member kind of, you see in their more hidden selves as they reveal them to the people that they love. You get an establishment of these new villains, the Dark Riders, so that once everything starts to go full tilt, you kind of get an understanding of each character. Now, going back to overconfidence here, Cyclops is trying to say, shit, bring everybody back. We got to take out these bad guys. And he's saying that Jean's down in the nursery with Christopher, and keep that in mind, because here, this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the book, little nuggets, treasure nuggets. So you get the first appearance of the Dark Riders, and then this is the book where we start to kind of kick off the backstory of Cable and how he kind of came to be the future militaristic person that he is when Rob Liefeld released him on the scene in New Mutants. Now this guy Synapse goes after Jean, and he kind of just disables her to the point of being a kid in her mind. Now at this point, when she came back from the dead, she still has her telekinesis, but she doesn't have her telepathy. And so he sends her to the astral plane. He goes, "Poor little baby. I hear in the old days you were one hot number. Major League Psi, am I right? Telepathy, TK, the whole arsenal. Boss said you got broke through, though no more mind reading. Too bad. Must really hurt, you understanding what I'm saying? Not being able to pull stunts like this." And because she doesn't have her psi powers, she's useless on the astral plane, and that's why he brings her there. But remember what I said about overconfidence, and we'll come back to that. And the same here, where these guys think that they know how they're going to take out the X-Men. Well, here, I keep saying X-Men when I mean X-Factor. Check this out. Beast goes, contrary to popular fashion, Wolverine isn't the only X-Men who's best there is at what he does. And then he goes to think, there I go again, referring to us as X-Men. I wonder if any of the others do that. And that's kind of how I see, even though there's different teams, X-Force, X-Factor, Generation X, they're all X-Men. They're all fighting for Xavier's dream. So, to me, X-Men in a sense is a blanket statement. And while we're getting this great story and the action, just the freaking paneling and the artwork is so flipping good. Like I said, yes, there is good art out there today, but it's done digitally. I miss this hand-drawn stuff. In the 90s, yeah, they kind of used digital art, but it's still more traditional. And it's just so gorgeous. Now, going back to Synapse, or Synap, whatever you want to call him, he's digging into Jean's mind. He goes, open all those doorways, honey bunny. Show me all your secrets. I know it hurts, but hey, I got the power, and I'm a nosy kind of guy. You got an objection? Sue me. Know what I mean? So tell me, what's this all about? Oh my. And I just love the absence of color, just that flash of light. And why is that important? Well, this is the issue where Jean finally gets her telepathic abilities back. So in a sense, Jean finally comes back into her own and becomes a whole mutant. So this sets up for a much bigger arc. The last 3 issues that I read before I finally got my hands on this one, absolutely astounding. The quality just continues to kick ass issue after issue after issue, and the story just gets more and more dramatic and epic all at once. So yeah, this kicks off Endgame. Great way to build it up. Great way to finally bring Jean back to herself in a sense, because there's people that say that Jean's not a fan favorite. She's personally one of mine. She's always that one that's kind of been like the glue. I don't like how writers kind of always fall back to old arcs, dying being one of them. But I enjoy Jean. She's always been that center for all the characters. And so for me, that's why she's one of my favorites. And this has been one of my favorite arcs in a long time. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. If you have enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little X bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.